Now, before moving forward, I have to remind people how politics work in Europe. And this includes the United Kingdom. Basically, you have a party that suggests that immigration should be limited. That's it. Like, that's their main focus, right? Like, let's reduce the number of migrants. And usually, those parties, if left alone, turn out to be insanely popular. In some cases, they may even get like 40% of the vote. Some cases, let's assume they get 49. What happens is that every single other party, whether they're communists, whether they're monarchists, whether they're Christian Democrats, whether they're pro-environmentalists, all of the other parties just put aside all of their differences, all of their platforms, and they join together in order to govern with 51%. And then they formed this thing that they called cordon sanitaire in order to make sure that absolutely nobody negotiates with the far-right Nazi party. And far-right Nazi, again, in Europe, it just means that you shouldn't be okay with unlimited migration. You should have like the same policies that Europe had before Angela Merkel. And I got some backlash towards this. Like, people say, well, why are you including the monarchists? And I'm including the monarchists because of a joke. But secondly, if you look at King Charles in the United Kingdom, he is for migration. If you look at the Spanish king, he is for migration. Like, no, the monarchies in Europe are for migration. I don't know why people assume that they're not. I don't know like what ideologies and what people have in their minds, but like the reality on the ground is that no, like the established monarchies in Europe are for migration, all of them, and the Pope. Okay, like they're all on the same side. Now, the interesting thing is that there is one far-right Nazi party. Okay, like in the Germany, you have the AfD. They're very popular. In France, you have Le Pen. And so it's only one. And again, it drives the establishment batshit insane. The previous elections in France, for those of you that did follow them, you would notice that Macron was about to lose. And so what he did was to look at places that were quote-unquote battlegrounds. And let's say you had like a communist and one of his party members and another person from Le Pen, like fighting for the same seat, he would have gotten his party member to back down just so he doesn't steal the votes from the communists, right? Like, again, this is how Europe operates. They do not want to allow a party that's against immigration to win even a single term. Like, they would find this preposterous. They would find it unthinkable. And so, as I mentioned before, there's just one party, right? But, like, I don't think there's a nation, and I tried to think really hard. I don't think there's a nation in Western Europe that has, like, two anti-immigration parties. Like, the left has many. The left has almost everything, right? Like, the Lib Dems, the center-left, the center-right, the communists, like, literally everyone is pro-migration. And they form alliances, but they always isolate one party. So, like, what would happen if there's two parties? And this is what we're going to see, because in the UK, it seems that Rupert Law is now creating another party. This is a politician that had a fallout with Nigel Farage. The analysis that Sargon of Akkad gave is that he was becoming too popular, and Nigel Farage didn't like the popularity. In reality, there can be like a plethora of reasons. There may be like certain conservatives that wanted to join Nigel Farage's party and said, we're joining, but without that guy. Like, there's a lot of deals that happen under the table, right? Some of them may even be economic in nature. Like, it's rare that politicians actually have egos in front of the cameras. Like, when they have egos in front of the cameras, it's because they're advised to have egos in front of the cameras. Politicians aren't like the statesmen of old. Like, they're paid actors, pretty much. They read from prompters, they practice, rehearse speeches. Everything they do is because their party wants them to do it, right? So, whatever the case may be, Rupert Law was excluded from Nigel Farage's party. And so he's making his own party right now. The interesting thing is that the previous Nigel Farage party is now becoming the Conservative Party. Like, there's a lot of people from the Conservatives, the Tories, that are jumping ship, and they're going into Nigel Farage's party. And they're now becoming a more public party. They're going in front of the cameras. They're invited by the televisions. While Rupert Law is extremely popular on the internet. Now, is this enough for him to win elections? I genuinely don't know. Okay? But I do want to talk a little bit about the British system. First of all, I don't think like British people can vote their way out of the situation they're in. And it's not because democracy doesn't work. But in fact, it does work. Like, it changes culture. It moves the overtone window. It allows for certain conversations to exist that didn't exist in the past. And this can influence the way people spend money. This can influence how many people leave the country. Like, it has other impacts that may not necessarily be directly influencing democracy. But the reason that I'm saying British people can't vote their way is because they have this thing called the civil service. And the civil service are bureaucrats that are sent there, regardless of who wins elections. And if you want to know how influential they are, you have to watch the TV show Yes, Minister. Like, that one absolutely describes the level of power and subversion that the civil service has. And most of the civil service, they're grifting heavily with left-wing grifts. So, like, for instance, the whole hotel thing, right? It's like the government takes taxes from people. It buys out an entire hotel. It houses immigrants. Like, people profit from that. It's taxpayers' money. It's a lot of grift. You know, people live luxuriously because of that grift. And so the civil service, like, even though they're, like, some of them are ideologues, some of them may not be. Like, some of them, like, genuinely realize that as long as labor is in power, they make a lot of cash. And they want to keep making a lot of cash, right? So, like, they will resist any type of government that's right-wing. And you saw what happened to Liz Truss. And so, this is why I don't think British people can vote their way out of it. What I think can happen, and what can actually change things, is the welfare system collapsing. Like, a lot of the migrants, they're coming there for freebies, right? Like, it's obvious. Like, why would anyone leave France for the United Kingdom? Like, it makes no sense. Like, France is a safe country, right? The only reason you'd move is because, well, you get free shit. You get a hotel, you get something else. In some cases, it may be that you get a community that doesn't get policed. Take into account that recently the British government just stated that they're not interested in having an inquiry into the grooming gangs. And so if you're a person that sees that, maybe you're not a groomer. Maybe you commit a different type of grift. But you know that the government has your back, right? Unlike other places. And so you go there. But if that thing stops, right? Like, if the welfare stops, well, the grifting stops. And so, like, people that may realize that, oh, the government doesn't take care of them, they may leave by themselves without needing deportations. And at some point, the welfare system is going to collapse. It's not sustainable, right? So when that happens, you will see change. The welfare system collapses either when too many people are taking from the welfare system, or when a lot of rich people leave Britain. Like, when they move their businesses out of the UK, when they leave the UK, that's when the government simply cannot afford to continue the grift. How long until that happens, I don't know. But there's another thing that I want to talk about, which is Anglo morality, right? Like, this is why the British people have even gotten into the place where they are now. This is a very different system than China has, than Eastern Europe has, than Russia has. I'm not saying, like, Eastern systems are better. I'm just saying they're different, that they produce different results, okay? So, in the Anglosphere, people want their politicians to be moral, right? Like, they want a moral, decent person. And their standards are that of political correctness, right? The standard is usually unachievable by human beings unless you're a saint. And so if you manage to control the media, all you have to do every single election is to prove that your opponent is immoral. Your opponent can't prove that you're immoral because the media doesn't cover his attacks, right? And so British people, if they find out that someone is unsavory, if they find out that someone is politically incorrect, they don't vote for him. And this is not just for British people. I saw it in Canada. I saw it in Australia. To some degree in the United States. But like the United States is a little bit more pragmatic. Now, let me give you an example of the difference between Eastern Europe and the United Kingdom. In Eastern Europe, the president, Traian Băsescu, who was married, fucked his mistress in the Oval Office. Like, literally, he just put his mistress on top of the table, started fucking her. He slapped a child in public. Like, literally, just smacked the child in public. The child reached for his microphone in front of the cameras. People voted for him. Why? Because people don't need a moral president. I can wipe my ass with a moral president. What I need is someone to unfuck the economy. As long as my life and that of my family is benefiting from the president, I don't give a shit. He can be a convicted criminal for all I care, right? I want someone that doesn't make my life worse. That's it, right? Such a thing just doesn't exist in the Anglosphere. Like, I saw people in the comments being outraged when I suggested it. And it's like, I'm not telling you how you should do it. I'm saying there are other nations that do it differently. And we don't up in the situation where we have like people coming in with dinghies and there's like grooming gangs and there's no investigations. Okay? Like, the idea, it's like, oh, Trump was on Jeffrey Epstein's island. Trump may have very well been on the Jeffrey Epstein's island, but who was running against Trump? Kamala Harris. Would you want 4 years of Kamala Harris? Like, she hasn't been on Jeffrey Epstein's island. But like, you would have known that the internet would have become more censored, that the economy would have gone even worse than it is now, your lifestyle would decrease, they would have had even more mass immigration, they would have had even more drugs, they wouldn't have any ICE protests because ICE wouldn't be doing his job, right? And so the question is, would you vote someone that has been on Epstein's island, but your personal life is not as bad as if Kamala Harris would have gone? Or would you vote for Kamala Harris just because, like, the accusations of her going on the Epstein's island don't exist? Because maybe she didn't go, right? Like, this is the mentality that people have in Eastern Europe. It's not like, is the president a moral person? The mentality is like, can he do the job? Is he going to make my life worse? That's the only thing that matters. Nothing else matters. Is he going to make my life worse? Yes or no? The moral argument is absolutely irrelevant. No one fucking cares. He's a racist. He's a bigot. He's a misogynist. He beats his wife. He insults journalists. I don't fucking care. I'm not voting him as the leader of the Orthodox Church. I'm not voting him for morality. I am voting him to protect me from other imbeciles that want to raise my taxes. And a lot of Romanians think this way. This is why they had to cancel our elections. This is literally why they had to cancel our elections. Because it's like, well, the person is insane. He's into mysticism. I don't care. He may very well be into mysticism, but at least I know that he's not going to raise my taxes. And that's literally how people think. And so, like, the West panicked so hard, it's like they don't know how to deal with people like us. And so they had to cancel our elections. And they're probably going to have to keep canceling our elections. At some point, it's going to look too fucking ridiculous. But they will have to, like, consistently cancel our elections because this is how we vote. We genuinely do not care. We would vote for Jeffrey Epstein himself in order to protect us from Kamala Harris. It's extremely immoral, but it's also extremely pragmatic. And this is an observation on Eastern Europeans. This is not what I'm saying. This is how the Eastern Europe as a whole operates. Because after years of communism, people realized that by voting for quote-unquote moral people, for decent folk, you end up with higher taxes, your standard of living going down, you end up with your voting power diluted, you end up with your rights eroded. And so, look, if this is the situation, you gotta vote for the guy that actually follows your interests. And usually, it happens that the decent people, they join the establishment, right? Because they're decent. The dredges of society, they're populists. Like, and this is mostly the case. Like, the dredges of society are the populists because the decent people don't want them in. And so they're the only ones willing to risk their reputation to defend the people because they have no reputation to defend. But if you vote them in office, either they deliver or sometimes they don't deliver, but at least the other guy hasn't got it in. And so with this mentality, you can have a different government. I don't think that the British are ready for this. Like the British, the moment they hear that a person has said something racist, the moment they hear that a person has said something incorrect or whatever, they distance themselves, right? And if they distance themselves, well, I mean, you get very moral people like Labour is, right? Like Labour is extremely moral. None of them have been to Jeffrey Epstein's island, not a single one. But they govern the nation in the way they govern the nation. Now, regarding Count Dankula, is it a problem that this gentleman may split the vote? I mean, isn't the left splitting the vote, right? Like they have the Lib Dems and they have the Labours and they have like all of their parties, right? Like aren't they splitting the vote? Like how can you actually have a political system without splitting the vote? Like if the left always has coalitions and the right only has one party. Like, no, let the right have several parties. Maybe this election isn't going to go well. But the next election, at some point, maybe something clicks. And then you will have, like, political parties that have to maintain checks and balances. Like, you cannot have a party that knows there's no other alternatives and then start saying dumb shit or pushing for stuff that doesn't make sense, knowing that there is another party that's willing to pick up the slack. So I think it's a good idea. I think that Rupert going for elections is a good idea because it opens the door for new conversations, moves the Overton window, and we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.